welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we are making a carrot cake. And carrot cake is something that you can get some vegetables in people without them really knowing that that's what it is. I personally love carrot cake. So to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is get our carrots grated. And we are going to do it the quick and easy way. I am going to be grating these carrots, I'll show you guys, on the fine setting of a grater. If you don't have a food processor, you could grate them on a cheese grater, you know, the box grater. You could buy them already grated, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this turned on. I have 8 ounces of baby carrots here that I'm just gonna grate up, and then we're gonna go ahead and mix it all together. We are gonna just dump them here in our bowl. And this should add up to about 3 cups to 3.5 cups of carrots. I really like the carrot flavor in the carrot cake. So I'm okay with more carrots. And since you've shredded it so fine, it's gonna kind of blend in with it, and you're not gonna get hunks of carrot or anything like that in your mouth. You can see how finely we grated it. Okay, so now that we have our carrots grated, we're gonna go ahead and get mixing the cake mix. I am making mine layered. If you want to do it the lazy way, you could get a 9x13 pan and just pour it in it. But we're going to try and make it pretty today. We're going to take a few minutes to do that. So we're actually going to make it into 3 layers. If you don't have layer pans, like I said, you can absolutely do it in a 9x13. You could do it in 2 9x9s and then just put the squares on top of each other. So you don't necessarily have to have layered pans. So the first thing we have to do is get the wet ingredients going together. So I am just gonna switch spaces here. I'm gonna crack 4 eggs. Oops. Into our bowl. And we are using organic brown eggs. And I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do to make this healthier if you want to sub out. And one of them is this. So we are using 1 cup of vegetable oil. You can absolutely substitute instead of the vegetable oil with applesauce. Believe it or not, applesauce works great. Okay, and we are going to get this blended together, and then we're going to add our dry ingredients to this. So you just want to get the eggs beat together with the oil. Okay, now to our eggs and oil, we're going to add our sugar. And I have a 1.5 cups of white sugar. So again, if you want to make it the healthier version, you could substitute for that a turbino sugar. You could use honey, or you can use maple syrup. And I've done it with all of those, so they definitely work. And our oven is ready for us, but we're not ready for it yet, guys. Just give it a quick stir and then we're gonna add the rest. Okay, and to this we are going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a teaspoon, or excuse me, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 2 to 3 teaspoons, depending on how cinnamony you like it. I like cinnamon, so I had 2 generous teaspoons there. And then we are going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is another thing you could do if you wanted to substitute something healthier. You could use an alternative flour. If you're interested to know which ones would work best, just message me. We'll get all that in there without having to take it off. Okay, and let's get it up and running. Okay, we are ready for the rest of our ingredients. So from this point on, the only thing really you have to add to make a carrot cake is carrots, right? So we're gonna add our grated carrots. Lots of wonderfulness there. Now, in the version that we're making today, we have also 1 cup of chopped pecans. If you don't like pecans, you can use walnuts. You could use really a variation of nuts if you wanted. We also have a 1/2 cup of raisins and a cup of flaked coconut. This is a large flake, not a shredded. And if you don't have that, you can use the shredded. I am using unsweetened. No surprise there, right, guys? All right, let's get this a swirl. And you're just combining that all together. And that's it. All right, let's get rid of our mixer. Okay, and I told you guys I was gonna do 3 pans. So instead of spraying them with a cooking spray, we're actually going to butter our pans. So I have a stick of unsalted butter here. And I'm gonna show you what some people consider the proper way to grease a pan. But you do what makes you happy. The last step when you grease a pan is to flour it. And the reason you put a little bit of flour on it is because that then will stick to the bottom of the cake and the grease will make a layer and then it'll prevent it from sticking. So I just have a little bit of white flour and you're going to dribble a little bit in and then just toss it around. Get it in the nooks and crannies and along the side. And then dump it to the next one. And we'll do this one. And dump it over. And you want to get that extra flour out. So once we're all done, we're going to dump it out. Let me give them just a quick dump. They seem like they had a little too much. Okay, and then we are going to divide our mix up between the 3 layers. So at this point, if you're doing one big pan, just dump it in. If you're doing 2, just kind of eyeball it to make them about the same. And if you want to get really fancy and do 4, you go for it. I always like to make sure we got everything at the bottom all mixed in before I start dumping too, especially when you have a thicker battered like this is. All right, so we'll start with just doing a little scoop in each. And then from there, now you're going to want to spread it around. Make an even layer. And we are going to tap them. And that just makes sure that it's even. All right. I am going to go ahead and get these in our preheated oven. It's at 350 degrees. We're going to cook them, check them in 20 minutes. It's probably going to take 30 minutes, but we're going to check them in 20. Okay, so our cakes are out of the oven. I have taken them out of their pans. They're finishing cooling off. We are going to go ahead and get our frosting ready. Frosting on this is pretty easy. We are doing a butter cream cheese frosting. So I have 1 bar of cream cheese, which is 8 ounces. And then I have a whole stick of butter, which is 8 tablespoons. And we are going to cream these together with the paddle attachment. And you want to get it pretty light and airy, so we're going to let it beat for a few minutes. Okay, so to this we are going to add a teaspoon of real vanilla. If you wanted a different flavoring, you could add that as well. If you wanted to use clear vanilla, that would keep the color consistency a little better. We're going to scrape this down. And just get that all down. And you can add as little or as much confectioner sugar, which is powdered sugar, as you would like. I have a 1.5 cups of here, which to me is plenty. If you want more, add more. You can literally serve it without any if you wanted. But that's to your taste. Okay, so let's get this beat in here. All right, and we are done with our frosting. Okay, so I'm making mine on a cake pan because I do have a dome that goes over this. You are going to want to refrigerate the carrot cake because, of course, this is dairy, right? So the first thing you do is grab 1 layer. I apologize, I set them down there to cool and I probably should have left them in the pans, or put them on a mat. Okay, to this, we are going to add a layer of frosting. So just add some frosting here in the center, and you're going to pull it around to the sides. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges. Okay. Next layer. And if you want, you can certainly double the frosting if you want to have more between the layers. In fact, we may end up making more, because I'm thinking I want to decorate the outsides too. And then our last layer. All right, so you never know exactly how much frosting you're going to want or need. I am going to make another batch and decorate the sides and make it look beautiful. We're going to put a little around the sides first, and then we're going to clean it up. Now, if you have a Lazy Susan, it will help immensely in speeding up this process. If you don't, you can absolutely just turn it by hand. And you can clean up the base once you're all done as well. We're going to cover that up so that does not matter, because we have our piping bag out. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna do the top just real quick with this, and then we're gonna even it out. If you have a long flat spatula, you can absolutely use that. We are just going to use a flat knife. And you can see how that evened that all up. Okay, we're gonna do a couple more things to make it beautiful. And again, you don't have to do any of this. You could have made it in the 8 by 13 pan and just slapped the frosting on it and been all done. It tastes absolutely the same. But today we're making it more beautiful. So get our frosting in here. When you use a piping bag, you want to push the frosting down and get out the bubbles. So that's the next thing we're going to do. You lay it down flat, slide the frosting forward. See how I'm pushing it? Then you make a little fold in your bag and roll it up. I'm right-handed, so it's in my right hand. My left hand is going to guide it. And then we're just going to do a little at the bottom.
And we're gonna just do a little thing in the center. And I have some toasted coconut here, so I am going to sprinkle just a little bit of toasted coconut on the top. Gives it a little bit of color and design. And again, these were the flakes, but if you don't have flakes, you don't have to use flakes. That one's kind of big. And that was just like 1/4 cup. The last thing we're gonna do is decorate it with some pecans. And these are pecan halves. Forgot I was on the Lazy Susan. I was stretching my arm around rather than just grabbing it and letting it do the work. And voila. This is carrot cake with a cream cheese frosting. Very traditional carrot cake. Remember, if you don't like raisins and you don't like coconut, you don't have to add those, and you don't even have to add nuts if you're not a nut fan. We are going to go ahead and dig in, but I appreciate you watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. I'll see you back here in a second for the taste. All right, the best part of making is getting to eat. So we have carrot cake here. Let's make sure we get some frosting as well as the cake. Really moist and creamy. I personally love the bite, the crunch from the nuts and the coconut. But if you're not a fan, like I said, you can leave it out. We did cook these for just about 20 minutes in the oven. And to make sure you know when they're done, you can stick a toothpick in to test them. This is amazing. Thank you so much for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Bye for now.